Now, we've gone on record discussing the accuracy of dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals as portrayed in media before, mostly centering around the Jurassic Park franchise, which is completely understandable because it is by far the most popular and well-known dinosaur media there is, but as I'm sure plenty of you are aware, it's not the only one, and it's definitely not the most accurate. There are other forms of media available that paint these creatures in a far more accurate light in terms of what we know about the paleontological record. Though, to be fair, a lot of Jurassic Park's shortcomings are based purely off of time frame, since, for example, the T-Rex, as portrayed in the original movie, was actually really accurate for the most part, with what paleontologists thought at the time. Compared to a more modern reconstruction, it's a little off, but it's not really Jurassic Park's fault, you know? Granted, there are other examples like the Velociraptor that are just wrong in basically every conceivable way, so there's that too. Anyway, the reason I bring all this up is that I thought we should look at other forms of media with dinosaurs in it to try to determine accuracy, to see how things are going over here. How y'all looking? How we doing, folks? Are we paying attention to the science, or are we just doing whatever we want? Well, in the case of one game called Prehistoric Kingdom, developed by Blue Meridian and published by Critivo, they actually seem to have decided to make a big focus on paleontological accuracy. Many of the dinosaurs and other creatures, mostly prehistoric mammals, are actually astonishingly accurate, incredibly accurate. They seem to have gone full tilt into the idea of making them as close to the modern understanding of the way the animals should look as reasonably possible. But how accurate is that? Well, they actually did a tremendous job with it. Now, the game itself is pretty much just a park builder. If you've played something like Jurassic World Evolution, or perhaps by extension stuff like Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster, or if you're more old school, the Tycoon games, you probably know what kind of management sim this is. In this instance, you're building a dinosaur theme park, because you can now recreate dinosaurs with the unspeakable powers of mad science! And of course you want to put them into a park for people to come see them, because there's absolutely no way that could ever go wrong. In any event, this game is still in early access. It is not finished yet, and I want to stress this. And that's sometimes a red flag for gamers, because there's been plenty of cases where early access has gone, well, completely off the rails to the point that a game never even exits early access. It just remains in an incomplete state. You've paid for it, expecting to have a full game eventually, and you just never get it. But I want to give props to Blue Meridian. They have been steadily working on Prehistoric Kingdom since it entered early access. They make frequent updates, they've been astonishingly transparent, and everyone, including myself, is remarkably happy with their progress thus far. I got it very early because I was already interested in the idea of playing something like Jurassic World Evolution, but with more realistic depictions of prehistoric animals. And that's exactly what Prehistoric Kingdom has given me so far, although there isn't a full allotment of animals to make a whole game, in my opinion, but that's understandable, because it's still early access. They have steadily added new creatures as time has gone on. But on the day of our Lord, July 24th, 2024, which is when I'm recording this, I am talking about the game in its present state. And again, not finished yet. But that's okay, because it's still totally playable, but they have some of the bare essentials here, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And already we can see they definitely pushed in terms of the accuracy here. The Rex looks great, no pronated wrists, and one of the color morphs, as there are different color morphs based off of gender, or you can just pick different ones because the heck with it, we can have some fun here, actually has some feathering. Now, the idea of an adult Tyrannosaur having feathers is still debated on, though most paleontologists will tell you that a juvenile probably would have. Regardless, both are options for the adult Rexes. And it's just a nice touch. Oh, speaking of more Jurassic Park-related dinosaurs, we have the Velociraptor. No, of course not. That's wrong, silly. Look at him! Look at the baby! Look at that tiny murder chicken! Phenomenal! We have the feathering, we have the wrist in the appropriate birdie pose, and of course the tiny sickle claw. That is a full-tilt, paleontologically accurate Velociraptor. I love it! Other famous animals in the game include Spinosaurus, which is a really bold one to include because, as I've talked about plenty of times before, paleontologists will never decide what Spinosaurus looked like. They change their minds every other day. It's out of control. But for Prehistoric Kingdom, they've gone with the big duck idea, and it's actually the one I personally support, with the addition of that elongated, fin-like tail to help propel them through the water. And yes, they are semi-aquatic, as they should be. Big old crocodiles with giant fins. Also not crocodiles, dinosaurs, but, you know, crocodile-like dinosaurs. Big chungus. Never smile at a crocodile. Or Spinosaurus. Triceratops is here. Nothing really exciting about them except they did add osteoderms, which I think is a nice touch, and no elephant feet. No elephant feet, that is not allowed. Hey look! Brachiosaurs. And look, their nostrils are on their nose, where they're supposed to be. Nice. As I said, there's also more than just dinosaurs here. There's also prehistoric mammals like woolly mammoths and smilodons. The smilodons I really appreciate because they have done their best to make them more like smilodons and not just like big cats. Because, as many will point out, the smilodon, despite commonly being referred to as a saber-toothed tiger, is not actually that closely related to a tiger at all. And they look a bit more distinctive. And this is especially apparent because they've also included the American lion, another prehistoric mammal that died out a long time ago. Yeah, there used to be a lion living in the Americas. And they look like, well, honestly, they just look like lions, but that's actually appropriate. The mammoths and the woolly rhinos look great too. And you may be noticing that I'm mostly praising the renders of these animals, and yeah, there's a good reason for that. Pretty much every single one of them is done really well. Even their behavior is appropriate. You ever want to see a T-Rex roll over? Do you? Because you can. It's adorable, actually. Look at the cutie. Look at the cutie. It's just a big baby. It's okay. It could swallow you in a single bite, but that's okay. It's no problem. It's a baby. In terms of the gameplay mechanics, I mean, are we doing a proper review? Oh, the heck with it. I'll just do it. I don't even care anymore. The game is fun, for the most part. It is. But obviously it's unfinished, and there's a lot of things that need to be ironed out. There are plenty of bugs, and the interface needs a lot of work. It's improved drastically, to be fair, since it entered early access, but it still needs a lot of improvement. Staff management is bare bones, and you really have no control over them to a significant degree, and they often bug out, which is always nice. And I feel like the idea of having multiple different facilities to make different kinds of food, given there are like 5 different kinds of food in the game, is a little much. Like, can't we just have 1 or maybe 2 food facilities? One for things like meat, fish, and insects, and the other for fruits and vegetables? I don't really appreciate having to use space to have, like, dozens of these in order to feed a brachiosaur. Do you have any idea what it's like feeding a brachiosaur? Right now, the game is a very accurate rendition of what it would be like trying to feed a brachiosaur. It's not easy. A lot of the other stuff is bare bones too, but to be fair, they also decided to completely open up the floodgates and integrate it with Steam Workshop, so there is a ton of mods. So that can help alleviate certain things like guest satisfaction, which is always annoying. I really hate that. Both in Jurassic World Evolution and this, like, one of the big perks is that, oh, you need to have more of a variety of dinosaurs in your park. Excuse me. Excuse me, you little heathens. I have played God and brought back prehistoric animals from millions of years ago, and you want more variety than that? Get out of here. I don't want to see you here ever again. You have any idea how much all this costs? Do you have any idea what I've been through to accomplish this feat? This impossibly complex task of restructuring DNA and cloning life forms that have not walked on this planet for eons!
You know how much I sacrificed?
You don't appreciate anything. I put them in a zoo. A fairly priced zoo for you to see, and you want more variety. Shut up! Although I did just get done saying that I wish there were more dinosaurs in the game. They haven't actually added Stegosaurus, which I feel like that one should be a given. You know? Like, Triceratops is here. And they did already announce they're looking to add both Apatosaurus and Brontosaurus, because they decided to go with the idea that Brontosaurus is its own genus. And I don't agree with that, but whatever, I'm not gonna get hung up about it. I'm just glad they're adding those. But they still haven't added Stego. And, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Anyway, but you're probably wondering, okay, we're talking about accuracy in terms of the creatures. Is there anything you've noticed yourself, Darkness? Have I personally noticed anything about them that's wholly inaccurate? Like something that drives me nuts. Something that I can't overlook. Something that is going to bother me because you know it's wrong. And in a game that seems to be focused on accuracy, you can't believe they did it. Why are you rearing?
Get down on all fours.
Edmontosaurus! How dare you do that in my sight? Don't you walk away from me, young man. I am speaking to you! Yeah, they did incorporate some animations with the hadrosaurs. It's not the rearing that gets me, actually. That part is probably accurate, they probably could do that, but occasionally, and it's pretty rare, but I have seen it, I'm not crazy, I did see them do it, they will run. And when they run, they do it on 2 legs. And that's wrong. That is an old misconception. That was incorporated into Jurassic Park, and I've repeatedly stated, I've had people get on my case for it in the comments, insisting that no, it's not wrong. Yes, it is! Modern paleontological studies have shown that them running on 2 legs was not a thing. They wouldn't have done it. They would have stayed the vast majority of the time on all 4s. Could they rear? Yeah, they probably could rear on occasion. Maybe to reach up and grab fruit from a tree or something, you know, if they wanted to, but they wouldn't have run around like that. And the game has that as a function. No, that's wrong. Fix it! But, to be brutally honest, outside of that, I don't really have much to complain about. I mean, it's not done, so it's kind of hard to judge fully in terms of a game, but in terms of actual paleontological accuracy, they did a good job. Really. Genuinely, I really like it. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you're the kind of person that gets really frustrated with the fact the only kind of park builder involving dinosaurs has to be like Jurassic World Evolution, and you would like one that's more accurate to the actual animals, Prehistoric Kingdom will probably make you fairly content with that. Genuinely so. So yeah, that's something to look into. I could do a deep dive and go over the exact details of every single species in the game, but I'd really rather not do that until the game's fully released, you know? Plus, there's gonna be a lot. Actually, there's already enough to where this video would be ages if I went over each and every one of them, so I'm not gonna go into everything. I just wanted to give you a few examples of, you know, what we can see and what Blue Meridian has brought to us. And hey, I'd say, outside of the rearing thing, they did a pretty good job. Seriously, get down! Get down from there! How dare you walk around that way? You know that hurts your back legs! Don't you lie to me! And with that, a special thank you goes out to my Apex Predators, Dr. Racist78, Metal for Life Guy, and Arthur Roy. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fun farewell.